Have you ever wondered why grammar is so important in the English language? Picture this. You're a master painter and words are your palette. But without the structure of grammar, your painting ends up a chaotic mess instead of a masterpiece. Now let's dive into why grammar is the backbone of any language. It's like the blueprint for constructing sentences. Without grammar, we'd all be communicating in a jumble of words, making it hard for anyone to understand what we're trying to say. Imagine saying, "I eating apple am." It doesn't quite make sense, does it? But if we rearrange those words following the rules of grammar, we get, "I am eating an apple." Suddenly everything falls into place and the message is clear. Grammar is also the key to precision in communication. It can change the entire meaning of a sentence. Consider these two sentences. "Let's eat, Grandma," and "Let's eat, Grandma." The first one is an invitation to Grandma to join for a meal. The second one, however, due to the absence of a simple comma, suggests a rather gruesome scenario. This is the power of grammar. A small change can alter the entire meaning of a sentence. Moreover, grammar helps to express complex thoughts and ideas. It allows us to connect sentences, express conditions, make comparisons, and even ask questions. For example, with the help of grammar, we can transform a simple sentence like "I like apples" into a more complex one like, "If I had to choose between apples and oranges, I would always choose apples." In essence, grammar is the magic ingredient that brings clarity to our words, giving them meaning and structure. It's the invisible thread that weaves our thoughts into sentences and our sentences into conversations. So, without a sound understanding of grammar, conveying your thoughts and ideas accurately becomes a challenging task. Now that we understand why grammar is important, we should familiarize ourselves with some basic grammar concepts. First up, we have nouns. Nouns are the names we give to people, places, things, and ideas. For instance, dog, city, and love are all examples of nouns. Next, we have verbs, which are action words. They tell us what is happening. If we take the noun dog, we can add the verb runs to create a simple sentence. The dog runs. Adjectives are descriptive words that modify or describe nouns. If we wanted to give more information about the dog in our sentence, we could use an adjective like fast. So our sentence becomes, "The fast dog runs." Prepositions are words that indicate the relationship between a noun or pronoun and other words in a sentence. They can tell us where something is or when something happened. For example, if we wanted to say where the fast dog runs, we could add the preposition in and another noun, park. So our sentence reads, "The fast dog runs in the park." Lastly, we have conjunctions. These are words that connect words, phrases, or clauses. They help us to build more complex sentences. For instance, we could say, "The fast dog runs in the park and plays with a ball." Here, "and" is a conjunction that connects two actions of the dog. Understanding these basic grammar concepts is like learning the alphabet before you start to read. They form the backbone of English and are essential in constructing correct and meaningful sentences. In the end, these are just the basics. English grammar is a vast and fascinating field with many more concepts and rules to explore. However, getting a grasp on these fundamental elements will set you on the right path. These basic concepts form the building blocks of any sentence we construct in English. So, let's keep exploring and learning together. So how do we go about studying grammar? Well, there are a myriad of ways to approach this, each with their own unique benefits. One of the most traditional methods is through reading books. Not just textbooks, mind you, but novels, newspapers, magazines, anything that's well written, really. This allows you to see grammar in its natural habitat, so to speak. As you read, you'll begin to notice patterns, the ways sentences are structured, how punctuation is used, and so forth. It's like learning a dance by watching others perform. You'll soon find yourself instinctively understanding the rhythm and flow of the English language. But we live in the digital age, don't we? So let's not forget about the wealth of online resources at our disposal. There are countless websites, apps, and platforms dedicated to teaching English grammar. They offer interactive lessons, quizzes, and exercises that can help reinforce what you've learned. It's like having a personal tutor at your fingertips, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now let's talk about practice. You see, understanding grammar is one thing, but being able to use it effectively is another. That's where practice comes into play. Try writing essays, stories, blog posts, anything that gets you actively using the language. Don't worry about making mistakes. They're part of the learning process. What's important is that you're using the language, experimenting with it, playing with it. Remember, when it comes to grammar, consistency is key. It's not enough to study it once and forget about it. You need to keep revisiting it, keep practicing, keep using it. It's like exercising. You wouldn't expect to get fit by going to the gym once, would you? The same principle applies here. In a nutshell, studying grammar involves a combination of reading, using online resources, and practicing writing. Each method complements the others, providing a well-rounded approach to learning. And remember, the more you practice, the better you'll get. Remember, practice makes perfect when it comes to grammar. Let's talk about the sequence in which one should learn grammar. When it comes to learning grammar, the key to success is systematic progression. That means starting with the basics and gradually moving on to more complex concepts, like building a house brick by brick. So where do we start? Well, the bedrock of any language is its parts of speech, and English is no different. Begin by understanding nouns and verbs. Nouns are the names of people, places, things, or ideas. Verbs, on the other hand, are action words. They tell us what the subject of the sentence is doing or being. Once you've got a firm grasp on nouns and verbs, you can add in adjectives and adverbs. Adjectives describe or modify nouns, while adverbs do the same for verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. Think of them as the seasoning that adds flavor to your sentences. Next, it's time to tackle sentence structure. This is where you learn about subjects, predicates, and objects and how they fit together to form complete sentences. Subjects tell us who or what the sentence is about, predicates tell us what the subject is doing or being, and objects are what the subject is acting upon. Now that you understand sentence structure, you can start exploring tenses. Tenses tell us when an action took place in the past, present, or future. English has 12 tenses, and each one has its specific usage. Finally, we get to the more complex parts of grammar, things like conditional sentences, reported speech, and passive voice. These concepts can be challenging, but they're also what make English such a rich and flexible language. Why this sequence, you ask? Well, each step builds on the one before it, creating a solid foundation for the next. It's like climbing a ladder. You can't reach the top without first stepping on the lower rungs. Following this sequence will make your grammar learning journey smooth and effective. Now let's see some examples of these grammar rules in action. Consider the sentence, "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog." This single sentence encompasses every letter of the alphabet, making it a pangram. But let's delve deeper into the grammar. This sentence follows the basic structure of subject-verb-object. The quick brown fox is the subject, jumps is the verb, and over the lazy dog is the object. Next, consider the sentence, "If it rains, I'll stay home." This is an example of a conditional sentence which consists of two clauses. The if clause, if it rains, and the main clause, I'll stay home. It's called a conditional sentence because the action in the main clause, staying home, depends on the condition in the if clause, it raining. Now let's look at a sentence that uses different verb tenses. I was watching TV when the phone rang. I was watching TV is in the past continuous tense, indicating an ongoing action in the past. When the phone rang is in the past simple tense, indicating a completed action in the past. This sentence shows how we can use different tenses to describe events happening at different times. Finally, let's examine a sentence that uses a modal verb. You mustn't smoke in here. Mustn't is a modal verb used to express prohibition. It's a strong way to say that something is not allowed. These examples illustrate some of the grammar rules we've discussed, such as sentence structure, verb tenses, and the use of modal verbs. In each sentence, the grammar rules help to convey precise meaning. They aid in making our communication clear and understandable. Remember, grammar is like the framework of a building. It holds everything together and gives it structure. Without a strong framework, the building would collapse. Similarly, without good grammar, our sentences would be confusing and difficult to comprehend. These examples should give you a good understanding of how grammar works in English. Let's quickly recap what we've learned today. We've explored the significance of grammar as the backbone of the English language. We've delved into basic grammar concepts, providing a solid foundation for your language journey. We've discussed methods of studying grammar effectively and the optimal sequence of learning these concepts. We've also shown grammar in action with clear examples for each point. With consistent practice and a clear understanding of these concepts, you're well on your way to mastering English grammar.